In part 1, I provided a concise but general health perspective definition of root cause, and in part 2, revealed 3 concepts that specifically enable understanding in the case of type 2 diabetes. It will be helpful to watch those if you haven't already. Now, to the elephant in the room, the reveal of the real root cause of type 2 diabetes. First, a recap of orthodoxy. Modern medicine has long viewed and directly targeted blood sugar as the root cause of type 2 diabetes. The result? Suboptimal therapies, palliative perpetual management, meaning regardless of duration, cessation always led to re-emergent and worsening signs and symptoms, as the pathology never really stopped. Instead, was only slowed down, masked, delaying catastrophe by 5 to 15 years. In the various organs, the background pathology manifested the typical signs and symptoms. In the eyes, early onset blindness from retinopathy and cataracts. The skin, altered, lost sensations eventually may cause ulcers, amputations, and contribute to erectile dysfunction. The kidneys, creeping decline, also known as chronic kidney disease, usually ended in acute renal failure. The heart, gradual but persistent decline, eventually will end in heart failure. The muscles, compromised glucose uptake ultimately led to muscle wasting. In the brain, compromised metabolic flexibility, the ability to cycle between glucose and fat utilization that generates ketones that fuel the brain during significant feeding hiatus, led to cognitive decline from loss of neurons, typified by Alzheimer's disease, mostly mediated by chronic generalized inflammation induced by accelerated glycation. These combine with the many side effects of the medications used to frustrate the ideal of therapy, restoration of normal quality of life and normal life expectancy. The terrible toll of management therapy spurred a few to begin questioning the targeting of blood sugar as though it were a root cause. Searching for any further cause, they traced the hallmark blood sugar dysregulation to diminished tissue sensitivity to insulin in response to insulin flooding the blood, a phenomenon dubbed insulin resistance. In simple terms, insulin resistance occurs as follows. Increasing cell energy stores led to increasing cell size, stretching the cell membrane, which triggers decrease in number of membrane receptors. The proteins through which insulin lets blood glucose into the cell. The result was proportional buildup of blood glucose, stimulating further release of insulin, which forces glucose in through the fewer receptors, and further storing energy, which increases cell size, further stretching the cell membrane and diminishing membrane receptors, causing rise in blood glucose and insulin. This is the positive feedback loop that generates the insulin flood. The discovery, the knowledge, the understanding of insulin resistance proved a great leap forward in the effort at tackling type 2 diabetes, showing once and for all that blood sugar is a sign, not the root cause, and hence why its targeting only achieved management, not cure. Insulin resistance as the possible root cause of type 2 diabetes generated exaggerated excitement, hyperbole. However, what has been the real-world impact? The justification for the enormous resources expended in identifying a problem's root cause is that it guarantees solution. With health, therapies directly targeting root cause are effective, short, and curative, unlike those targeting signs and symptoms that are palliative and hence indefinite or management. But did insulin resistance as the root cause of type 2 diabetes fulfill the criterion? Did it stem the tide of the epidemic? The data shows the epidemic expanding with a global average of 1 million new cases per annum, unfortunately. This left some unsatisfied who, continuing to dig, soon uncovered association between insulin resistance and dysfunction of the intracellular energy management system or organelles called mitochondria. Pronto, in some quarters, mitochondrial dysfunction became the buzz. Whoa! The real root cause of type 2 diabetes had been discovered. So traditionally, it was blood glucose, then insulin resistance, and lately, mitochondrial dysfunction. But again, what has been the impact? The answer should resolve if indeed the new discoveries are the real root cause of type 2 diabetes or not. Here are the facts. The outlook of tangibles, focused therapies, physicals, pills remain unchanged. Pills for insulin resistance are only marginally effective, but it is even worse for mitochondrial dysfunction. On the other hand, the most effective are still the mostly intangibles. Non-physical therapies, not packageable in pills form, knowledge, question for information, connecting with instinct, wisdom, applying knowledge, pure instinct to daily life, enthusiasm, eschewing sloth, remorse, mandatorily backed by acts of contrition, including self-mortification that activates the feast-famine cycling principle that is crucial to life. Faith, the absolute confidence in the promise that nothing is impossible. Yet, many, including the severely afflicted, embrace the opposite: indifference, indulgence, lack of remorse, lack of faith, resigning to the doom of management, of incurability. Now pay close attention. So far, the facts of type 2 diabetes lead to 3 conclusions that uncannily point to the real root cause. Conclusion number 1. The triggers, preventers, reversers, or curers are all attitudinal. And attitude is a quality of mind. The philosopher Nietzsche famously said, quote, "Instinct is more intelligent than any learned knowledge." End of quote. All body-mind creatures, conscious, are imbued with instinct for the inimical to life and the life-enhancing. With food, all know what, when, how much to eat. With physical activity, the right frequency and intensity. But in the build-up to type 2 diabetes, the relationship to food and physical activity are distorted, pointing to conclusion number 2, disruption of instinct. And instinct is a quality of mind. In part 2 of this series, I showed that afflictions with root cause in the tangible, the physical, the body, respond effectively to tangible therapies. Physicals like pills, like surgery. For example, an affliction of the body, the root cause of malaria, red blood cells invasion by Plasmodium, was readily identifiable. Consequently, effective direct targeting therapies were also readily developed, resulting in cure, not management. Whereas in type 2 diabetes, the discovery of the association with insulin resistance and mitochondrial dysfunction have not resulted in the development of effective, tangible physical therapies, pills. Pointing to conclusion number 3, it is likely an affliction of man's intangible component. The elephant in the room, the real root cause of type 2 diabetes is in the intangible mind. Specifically, it is a disruption of instinct. Instinct disruption causes upside-down prioritization, needless pathological rivalry, deflating, fame and fortune are prioritized over substance, the long-lived, health and longevity. Type 2 diabetes is a mind affliction. Does this mean sufferers should immediately dispose their medications? Of course not. Pills are adjuncts, helpers that mitigate signs and symptoms, while effective therapy neutralizes the root cause to achieve cure. For more videos on resolving otherwise intractable afflictions with majority root cause in the mind, hypertension, depression, anxiety, loneliness, addictions, subscribe to this channel, youtube.com/@revealedtransformation. The videos are also on facebook.com/Dr. Charles QC as spelled on the screen, or facebook.com/Revealed Transformation Church of Christ. Subscribe, click the like and bell icons on all platforms to be notified of the next video, the home test for submarine diabetes. For identification of root cause of problems and the mind therapies that resolve them for good, cure, WhatsApp +234 810 998 5808. I will leave you with a question. What do you suppose is the mind? Be blessed. Amen.